These are the sneaker releases that you need to know about in the first half of September 2023. This is Sit or Sell. So before we actually get into the sitting and selling, I did want to tell you guys about an upcoming giveaway for 3 pairs of the YUTO Nike SB Dunk Lows. That's right, I've got 3 brand new pairs of these guys in 3 different sizes, a size 8, a size 9, and a size 10. So no matter what size you are, whether you want to rock them or whether you want to flip them or do whatever you want to do with them, I'm giving them away to you guys. Now, of course, this giveaway is made possible by the sponsor of today's video, Whatnot. So if you haven't heard by this point, which I'm sure you already have because I've talked about it a million different times, but Whatnot is a live auction shopping platform with sneaker auctions 24 hours a day, some even starting at just $1. And the way I'm going to be running this second chance giveaway is on one of my Whatnot live streams, which is linked in the top of the description below. And if you sign up for Whatnot using that link, you get $10 towards your first purchase. My Whatnot live auction, where I'm giving away these 3 pairs of Nike SB Dunk Lows, is taking place on Tuesday, August 29th at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Not only that, I'll also be selling some shoes from my own personal collection and some pairs from my most recent Nike outlet vlog, plus you have a chance to grab some Apothecary socks. And for those of you who have never used Whatnot, I definitely recommend checking it out. I know this is a sponsored video, but I really do use Whatnot all the time. In fact, I use it to buy a lot of retro video games and sneakers. And the reason I love buying on Whatnot so much is because I have the chance to actually ask the seller questions live and get a full 360 view of everything that I'm buying, which is something that you can't do in a lot of other places. So I definitely recommend checking it out if you haven't yet. And again, if you guys want to check out my live stream where I'm giving away 3 pairs of Nike SB Dunk Low YUTOs, make sure to click the link in the top of the description below. But with all that being said, let's dive right into Sit or Sell. Starting things off on September 1st, we've got 2 colorways of the brand new silhouette, the Nike Sabrina 1. So if you're not familiar with this silhouette yet, which would make sense because it is a brand new silhouette, it is the official shoe of Sabrina Ionescu, WNBA player for the New York Liberty, I believe. And this is actually a pretty highly anticipated silhouette. It comes in 2 different colorways, the Iconic colorway and the Spark colorway, the Iconic colorway being the white and gray colorway and the Spark colorway being the purple and yellow colorway. And the Sabrina 1 is actually one of the few women's focused performance basketball sneakers. Obviously, you can still buy it in men's sizing, but it is a shoe specifically designed for a WNBA player, and it's really cool to see them get some sort of representation in the sneaker world. So both colorways of the Sabrina 1, the Spark, and the Ionic colorway are going to retail for $130, and like I said, they are dropping on September 1st. But in terms of whether I think the shoe is going to sit on shelves or sell out, I really have no idea because it's such a brand new silhouette in such a different category from most other Nike basketball sneakers. So because of that, and because of the resale prices that I'm seeing online, I'm going to lean more towards this shoe sitting, but there is a pretty high chance that this shoe could sell out in places like the Nike Sneakers app. So I really have no idea. If you're watching this video after September 1st, let me know in the comment section down below. But for right now, I'm going to give both colorways of this shoe a sit. However, if you like this shoe, I definitely recommend checking it out. Also dropping on September 1st, we've got the Puma Noah Pro Star. So this shoe, as you might have been able to tell from the name, is actually a collaboration between Puma and the US brand Noah. Now to go off track a little bit, I've gotten a couple comments recently of people saying, why do you only feature Nike and Jordan sneakers in these Sit or Sell videos? And it's not because I only like Nike and Jordan. You guys know me, I love New Balances. In fact, New Balance is probably my favorite brand at the moment. The problem is a lot of these brands like New Balance and in some cases Adidas and Puma don't really release their upcoming sneaker lists or calendars as early as people like Nike and Jordan brand. In fact, they don't even let you know until a couple days before unless it's a super hyped up release. I have no problem with those brands. I love those brands. In fact, in a lot of cases, I think the collaborations from those brands are better than the collabs on Nikes and Jordans, but I just want to clear the air. And I also wanted to say that this Puma Noah collaboration is absolutely fire. This Pro Star comes in a white perforated leather upper accented by a gum outsole and green hits around the ankle collar area. Now, I'm not too familiar with the brand Noah. I have been to their flagship store. I have bought Noah pieces before, but I haven't really followed them for a couple years, so I don't really know what their brand language is anymore. And to be honest, I don't see a lot of it on this shoe, at least in these images. It's mostly Puma. But with that being said, this Pro Star is still incredibly clean. And because it seems to be such a limited release, I wouldn't be surprised if this shoe ended up selling out. In fact, the only place that I've seen this shoe actually listed is on N's website, and they have it listed for $155. So I'm not sure exactly what the widespread release is going to be, if that's even going to happen this month, or if this is it. I really don't know that much about this shoe. Like I said, Puma doesn't let you know about a lot of their upcoming releases, at least not me. But it's a cool looking shoe. I'm going to try and grab a pair for myself, and like I said, I do think that this shoe will probably end up selling out. And if you guys want to grab any of the shoes mentioned in today's video, I've made sure to leave affiliate links to all of these shoes in the description below. Moving on to September 2nd, we've got the women's Nike Vomero 5 in Mystic Red and Platinum. Nike has been pushing the Vomero 5 silhouette hard this year. In fact, harder than a lot of their other silhouettes. And it's funny to me because this shoe really is just kind of a random running sneaker from like 10 years ago. Don't get me wrong, I love the way the shoe looks, it's incredibly comfortable, but it's interesting to see them pushing this particular shoe over other shoes. Now I'm sure there's a reason for it. Maybe it's because of the collaborations that have happened on this shoe, and that's made the shoe a more popular version of the vomero. I'm not sure. They're still releasing new vomeros to this day. I think they're on like either the 19th or the 20-something. I'm not sure. Did I say 20-something? The shoe is dropping for a retail price of $160 and comes in red, silver, and black, and is another great example of why the Vomero 5 is such a great looking sneaker. No matter what colorway you throw on the shoe, it looks good. If you like that sort of style. If you don't like the retro running vibe, then you're not gonna like this shoe. Now Nike has dropped so many Vomero 5s over the last couple months, the hype has kind of died down. It's a shoe that is definitely worth checking out if you haven't yet, but there isn't really gonna be any resale for this shoe. Not for these videos are about resale, but the good news is for you, if you like this shoe, you shouldn't have a hard time grabbing it because I do think that this shoe will end up sitting on shelves. Also dropping on September 2nd, we've got the Air Jordan 1 High Palomino. So I've actually already done a full review on this sneaker a couple months back. There were tons of pairs of these available for whatever reason for not that much over retail, at least 3 or 4 months ago. So I did a full review and honestly, I love the sneaker. The Palominos are dropping for the same retail price as most other pairs of Air Jordan 1s, which is $180. It's basically a brown suede Bred 1, or I guess a black and brown Air Jordan 1, and it's a very, very clean and wearable sneaker. It's definitely more toned down than a lot of the more recent Air Jordan 1 colorways, but it's one that I think the hype is definitely building on. And it's kind of interesting to me because I think the resale price now is higher than it was like 4 months ago, which is not usually the case, and I think it's because people are just getting more and more excited about this shoe. Now what I'm most interested in with this shoe and its release is whether this shoe will end up selling out or sitting. This is a shoe that I really could go either way on because Air Jordan 1s haven't really been moving as quickly as they used to move. In fact, a lot of colorways either end up at the outlet or end up sitting on shelves for a long time after release. And this is a shoe that I think, like the UNC ones and maybe like the Bred Toe ones, might sit for like a couple hours at stores after release, but I think, you know, give it a couple days and it'll be gone. And hey, maybe people will start returning pairs to the Nike outlet and I'll get lucky in my next outlet vlog. I don't know, but I am gonna give this shoe a sell. However, I don't think it's gonna be that difficult to get if you want a pair to rock. And then finally rounding off September 2nd, we've got the J Balvin Air Jordan 3 Medellin Sunset. This shoe, in my opinion, is absolute fire. It's the third J Balvin Jordan collaboration. He's done a 1, a 2, and a 3. And while the 1 didn't really hit, in my opinion, the 2 is a really clean look. I love the light up tongue. It's selling for like half of what the retail price is, which is kind of crazy to me. I actually found a pair at the outlet in my most recent outlet vlog. If you guys want to check that out, there will be a link at the top of the screen. But these 3s, in my opinion, will be by far the most popular of any of his collaborations. The shoe comes in a white tumbled leather upper, and the edges of each one of these leather panels is accented by this yellow stripe, which I really love. It brings a lot of extra color to the shoe. And of course, the main standout detail on the shoe is the gradient both on the midsole and on the heel tab of the shoe, which fades from a yellow to a red to a black, of course to represent a Medellin sunset. Now the only downside with this shoe, at least in my opinion, is the retail price. This shoe is going to retail for $250, which I do feel like is expensive. At least with the Air Jordan 2s, there was a whole like electronic component to it, which didn't really justify the $300 price point, but it made it more, I don't know, reasonable, I guess. This shoe, at least from what I can tell, doesn't feature anything that different from a standard pair of Air Jordan 3s in terms of materials. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. I think they're just bumping up the price because it's a collaboration, which I guess is fine. They do that every so often. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm really excited about this release. Like I said, I know it's $250, but I'm gonna spend the money if I get the chance. I might even try to buy a pair early to give you guys a full review. Unfortunately, I'm not seeing any early pairs popping up on like Goat Instant Ship or StockX or anywhere at a reasonable price point, so who knows? We'll have to wait and see. The only other thing I should say about this shoe is that as of right now, I've only seen this release date on sneaker release websites like Sneaker News, House of Heat, Kicks on Fire. They're all saying September 2nd, but I haven't seen any confirmed dates from any official places like Jordan Brand or Nike or any retailers or anything like that. So it's possible this shoe might not release on September 2nd. I'm hopeful though, because the sooner the better in my opinion, but we'll just have to wait and see. And of course, when this shoe does actually release, it will absolutely sell out. Jordan 3s are incredibly popular, and this colorway is very, very clean. Jumping ahead all the way to September 7th, we've got the Air Jordan 38 FIBA. So this shoe is the official FIBA colorway of the Air Jordan 38, a shoe which apparently is inspired by the Air Jordan 8. And the more that I've seen images of this shoe and had overlays of both shoes on top of one another, I do see the resemblance. in certain details, and overall I think it's one of the cleaner recent performance basketball sneakers from Jordan brand. And not only that, this FIBA colorway, this black, white, and gold colorway is super clean. Now in terms of materials and construction, I think the shoe is identical to the standard Air Jordan 38. The only difference is of course the colorway and probably some FIBA branding somewhere on the shoe, but it's dope. And if you want a pair of Air Jordan 38s, this is not a bad way to go, and for a retail price of $200, it's not gonna break the bank. And personally, while I love this colorway and I actually am really interested in checking out the Air Jordan 38s because I missed out on the initial release, I don't think the hype is gonna be that crazy for this shoe, so I'm giving this shoe a sit. Also dropping on September 7th, we've got the Nike KD3 Retro White and Gold. Seems like this year Nike is really going hard on those KD3 Retros, which I'm happy about because I really like the KD3 as a silhouette, both as a basketball sneaker and as just a clean looking performance shoe. And this really nicely toned down all white accented by gold look is very clean on the KD3. I don't know if I prefer this colorway to the Easy Money colorway that just recently released. I do think it's clean. It is a shoe that, again, like the Easy Money colorway, I will try and grab. Most likely though I won't be able to grab them because Sneakers app hates me. But hey, either way, very clean sneaker, and honestly, if you're looking for a ball shoe that not many people have, this is a great way to go. And that being said, for 130 bucks, it's a pretty decent deal. It's not like a Kobe Protro where they've updated the tech specs to make this shoe more of a modern basketball shoe, but it is still an on-court performance shoe that was worn in the NBA, not in this exact iteration. NBA players wear like different insoles and things like that, but this was a shoe that people did play basketball in, so it's still a good performance shoe, and it's still something that if you're trying to look fresh on court, not a bad way to go. But let's be real, most likely a lot of people are going to buy this shoe just because they like KD or they like the fact that it's a retro of the threes. So for that reason, I am going to give this shoe a sell because I think it will be somewhat limited. And then rounding off the 7th, we've got the Nike Mac Attack Black and White, or on the Sneakers app, it's just called the Nike Attack Black and White. It's interesting, at least for this release, they removed the Mac from the name of this shoe. So it's no longer the Nike Mac Attack, it's the Nike Attack. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on there. John McEnroe, at least from what I can tell, is still involved with Nike, so I don't know why they'd remove the name from his shoe. But hey, if you guys know, let me know in the comment section down below. Either way, this shoe is incredibly clean. It features a white leather upper accented by a black Nike swoosh and a black heel ankle collar area. And it seems like with this new Travis Scott and collaboration push that's happening on the Nike Mac Attack, Nike is really pushing this silhouette as well. And I think no matter what colorway they drop with the shoe, as long as it's wearable, at a $120 price point, the shoe is gonna do well. So for that reason, I'm giving this shoe a sell. Moving on to September 8th, we've got the Jordan Tatum 1 Home Team. This shoe comes in a primarily white upper accented by black, neon green, and orange, and is a relatively clean colorway of a shoe that I will never wear because I'm not a fan of the Celtics. I'm only half joking with that. I probably won't wear it, but I do like the way the shoe looks. It's just, not for me. That being said, apparently the Tatum 1 is a pretty decent shoe and it only costs 120 bucks. So if you're looking for a new ball shoe, and if you're a fan of Jason Tatum or the Celtics, or just like the way the shoe looks, not a bad pickup. Now, whether I think the shoe will sit or sell, definitely giving this shoe a sit because I don't think the Tatum 1s are flying off shelves, at least not after that initial colorway. Also dropping on the 8th, we've got the Air Jordan 1 Low OG EX in Sail and Atmosphere Gray. I've never really been a fan of the EX1 Lows. I don't like when brands release sort of crappier versions of their popular silhouettes. I get that they're doing that to give people the chance to own a pair of shoes that's similar to the one that they want to grab, but at the same time, it just feels like a shameless cash grab. I know that's probably not exactly what it is. However, I do think there is an element of that. But hey, not a bad looking shoe. It comes in this white upper accented by a light tan overlay with exposed foam around the edges, and of course you've got a black Nike swoosh. This is apparently a restock of the shoe, and for $140, if you missed out on the shoe initially, you have another chance to grab it. I don't think this shoe is going to be impossible to get, but I don't think it's going to sit around for too long, so for that reason, I'm giving this shoe a sell. And then finally, rounding off September 8th, we've got the Eastside Golf Air Jordan 1 High Golf Change. So from what I could tell, this shoe is part of Eastside Golf's 1961 collection, which I believe is in reference to when the PGA allowed non-white players to compete. This Jordan 1 Golf is only one of the pieces that they're dropping as part of this collection, but I believe it will be sort of the flagship piece in the collection. It, of course, is a Golf Air Jordan 1 High, which means that the traction pattern on the outsole is a little bit different. The rubber outsole is actually designed to grip the ground a little bit better than a standard pair of Jordan 1s. Of course, standard Jordan 1s were designed to grip the basketball court. These are designed to grip a fairway. And man, this shoe is gorgeous. It comes in sort of a bread color blocking with a primarily black upper accented by green hits on the overlays and the words Change, Eastside Golf, and 1961 written around the shoe. And of course, the Eastside Golf hang tag. I love this shoe. I've really been getting into golf recently. I have a golf pair of Air Jordan 1 Lows that I play in on a very regular basis, and I love it. So I'd love the chance to be able to grab this shoe. I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to have the chance to grab this shoe for the $200 retail price because the shoe is going to be pretty hyped up. So for that reason, I'm giving this shoe a sell, but hopefully I can grab a pair of these. and maybe also the Travis Scott golfs when they drop, but chances are slim. Moving on to the 9th, we've got the Nike Air Max 1 86 Dark Obsidian University Red. So this will be the second colorway of the Nike Air Max 1 1986 to release. This version of the Air Max 1 first released on Air Max Day earlier this year. This version of the shoe features a much larger air unit in the heel of the shoe, which much more closely resembles the original air unit in the original Air Max 1. Another pretty large difference between the 86 Air Max 1s and the standard Air Max 1s is that these new versions of the 86 Air Max 1s feature a React midsole or a softer foam midsole. The design of the midsole isn't as clean, in my opinion, as the standard Air Max 1s. We're also used to the way that the standard Air Max 1 looks, but I think this shoe is much more comfortable on foot. And to be honest with you, this gray, white, black, and red colorway is very clean and very, very wearable. It's not as iconic as the first colorway that released on this silhouette, but it's something that I still think a lot of people are going to be into. And for 150 bucks, it won't break the bank, especially for a pair of shoes that are very comfortable on foot all day and are very wearable. Now, with all that being said, I don't think the hype is there for this shoe, so because of that, I think this shoe will sit on shelves and should be relatively easy to grab. Also dropping on the 9th, we've got the Air Jordan 4 Red Cement. So this shoe actually shock dropped about a month ago, and a lot of people were able to grab their pairs then, and because of that, the hype has died down a little bit. That being said, this is still a pair of Air Jordan 4s. It looks very similar to the white cement Air Jordan 4s, one of the most popular sneakers of all time, so there's definitely gonna be some hype there. It's also not the worst price for a pair of hyped up sneakers, and it should deter some resellers because I don't think there's gonna be that much meat on the bone when it comes to resale prices of this shoe. As for the design of the shoe features a mainly white leather upper accented by red hits on the wings, on the midsole, and also on the heel tab of the sneaker, and of course all of that is rounded off with some black hits. And while no, this is not an OG colorway of the Air Jordan 4, it's definitely a colorway that's very wearable and that a lot of people will like. And you know what? It's a colorway that I'm definitely warming up to. I wasn't in love with it when I first saw it. I have a lot of pairs of Air Jordan 4s. I didn't feel like I needed any more pairs, and now the more that I look at it, the more that I'm like, man, I probably should grab that. And while I do think this shoe will be very popular and will probably end up selling out, there should be a lot of stock available, so you shouldn't have an impossible time grabbing them. But again, I'm gonna give these shoes a sell. Just make sure that you're entering all the raffles you can and entering on the sneakers app when the shoe drops, because if you do all that, you should have a good chance of grabbing a pair in your size, but it's also possible that you might not. So there you go, it's a sell. Moving on to September 12th, we've got the Grade School Air Jordan 4 Cacao Wow. So this shoe unfortunately only comes in grade school sizes, and it features this sort of tonal brown upper accented by teal and blue hits. And honestly, I'm not usually a fan of the grade school colorways because they're very obviously grade school, but this one, while more out there than standard Jordan 4 colorways, is pretty wearable. And if they release this shoe in adult sizing, I think that this shoe would be pretty popular. I also kind of like the speckled laces. It's not something that I usually dig on Air Jordan 4s, but it ties in with the speckled midsole pretty well. It's a clean look, and for $150, not a bad way to send your kid off to school in a pair of brand new Cacao Wows. Now, a lot of times grade school shoes don't always sell out immediately. I know that whenever I go to my local Atmos or Lapstone and Hammer, there are a lot of grade school colorways available, and like popular colorways you wouldn't expect, like Lost and Founds, more so in like a baby's toddler size. I think in the larger sizes, I would give this shoe a sell, but because it's releasing in full like grade school to toddler sizes, I think that overall it shouldn't be that difficult to find a pair of these after release. So because of that, I am gonna give this shoe a sit. But if you are trying to grab one of the larger sizes, be on your game, because I do think those ones will be the ones that'll sell first. Continuing on to September 13th, we've got the Air Jordan 1 High Praline. This $180 pair of Air Jordan 1s is apparently inspired by women's handbags, and that's why it features a somewhat natural leather color on the accents of the shoe, some nice stitching details in places that don't usually have them, and of course, the ribbon laces. But I'm not gonna lie, this is a very clean colorway of the Air Jordan 1. It features a white leather base, again accented by that sort of tan leather on the overlays. But like I said earlier on in the video, Jordan 1s are just not as popular as they used to be, and if it's not a colorway that's incredibly hyped up or is releasing in men's sizing realistically, it probably won't end up selling out. So for that reason, I am going to give this shoe a sit. And then dropping on the 15th, we've got the corporate collaboration on the Nike Airship. Apparently this shoe is dropping first on September 8th through corporate at their stores. However, it's dropping at Nike neighborhood stores on the 15th, and I think that will be the wider release of the shoe, so that's the release that I decided to feature in this sit or sell video. The shoe comes in this entirely teal makeup. It features teal suede and teal leather on the upper of the shoe, a teal Nike swoosh that's accented by the sort of white piping around the outside of the Nike swoosh, and of course the look is rounded off by the "got 'em" phrase. It's definitely a different take on the Nike Airship, one that we haven't seen seen before, at least not with these recent re-releases of the shoe. I got lucky because I'm wearing the Nike Airships right now, but usually the Nike Airship comes in a white leather upper accented by one color on the ankle area, on the Nike swoosh, and on the heel. This shoe is coming in basically one color on the upper of the shoe, but that color is the accent color. Like, that's the bright color on the sneaker. And man, that suede looks good. It's super hairy, super clean, and I will say, for me personally, this colorway is not something that I really want to grab. I just don't have anything to really go with that colorway. Not to say it's a bad colorway, but it's not something I'm planning to pick up personally, but it is still a shoe that a lot of people are looking forward to. And as we all know, Nike Airship collaborations tend to be very limited and tend to do very well on the resale market. So because of that, I think the hype is going to be there for this shoe, even if people don't love the way it looks, which I think most people do. But for that reason, I'm giving this $150 shoe a sell. Make sure to check out my TikTok and my Instagram @RealSethFowler for the latest sneaker news. And with that being said, I will see you all in the next one.